Why should they submit their film to the Woodstock Film Festival?
Because there are amazing people in attendance every year. We are only 2 hours north of New York City. It's great for networking. It's a lot of fun. Everything is very high quality. All the films are really good. Also, because Woodstock itself is in such a great locations. I mean, there's so many artists and writers and filmmakers and people who will also just be really good for you to meet and spend time with.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for the first episode of the Woodstock Film Festival podcast. I'm your host, Katie Mejia, Marketing and Communications Manager. The Woodstock Film Festival is a haven for networking with high-caliber industry members, voting members of the Academy, filmmakers, musicians, and fiercely independent artists. The 24th annual festival takes place September 27th to October 1st. Be sure and submit your film today. To kick off our first episode, we are here with co-founder, executive, and artistic director of the Woodstock Film Festival, Meira Blaustein. Welcome, Meira.
Hello. Nice to be the first.
So my first question for you, and it's actually several questions. When, how, why did you start the Woodstock Film Festival?
You couldn't start with something a little bit easier than that? When it was back in 2000. How? With just sweat, love, and labor. And why? Because I fell in love with film festivals back in, I guess, maybe the 80s, or if not, in the 90s. And then I worked for other film festivals before starting Woodstock. I worked for a couple of film festivals as a programmer, and I saw how incredible film festival was to those who were attending it, how incredibly inspiring it was. And I just thought I could do better. And so together with my then husband, we co-founded the Woodstock Film Festival together. As I said, back in 2000, with literally no money and just and no fame. We were not Robert De Niro or Robert Redford. We were just nobodies, and just worked very hard. And here we are, 24 years later.
24 years later, that's incredible. So tell us a bit more about your background and how you ended up in Woodstock, New York.
Okay, so I studied film a long time ago back in San Francisco and then in New York City, and worked, in fact, for other film festivals. Like I said, in addition to the festivals that I did, worked for Upstate. I also worked for the New York Film Festival in New York City, and made my own films as an independent filmmaker. And personal life got in the way for a big chunk of time where I had to do things that were very personal. But then once we lived in the Hudson Valley, I was looking for work, and really in terms of like film related work, and really the only thing that was available was another film festival. And as I was based somewhere in the Hudson Valley, not anywhere near Woodstock, and I began working for them. And from there, I went to work at another film festivals. But my background is film. I have been in this world now for a very long time, as a writer, director, producer, and programmer, and then just kind of everything, doing everything at the film festival.
The festival is all about being fiercely independent. Why is that important to you?
Well, the Woodstock Film Festival is all about supporting independent filmmakers. Like I said, I have started my own professional career as an independent filmmaker, and it has always been very important for me to support and help develop the careers of independent filmmakers. And not only that, but then, really support them along the way so that you can see the labor of the fruits of your labor. in a kind of way, because you see them grow, you see them mature as filmmakers, you see them succeed and create some wonderful projects along the way. So it is just, it's all about supporting independent and artistic talent.
What is one of your favorite Woodstock Film Festival memories?
I have so many. I suppose we can go way back to 2000 during the first film festival. And I think it was after a special screening that we had of Stop Making Sense, where we took out all the chairs and turned it into a dance party, and everybody was dancing, and we had all these amazing people. I mean, we had Academy Award winners dancing up a storm, and I just felt like we made it. And I remember standing in a doorway, going out of the theater and raising my hands up high. It was like, we did it. That was kind of a wonderful moment. Followed a lot of crazy moments where I thought that the whole thing was going to collapse. But along the way, every award ceremony, when I see filmmakers accepting their awards and gushing and being so happy because they won an award at the Woodstock Film Festival, every time I meet a filmmaker, there's just so many moments where I see people happy about being here as part of the film festival. That there are a lot of moments like that.
Well, tell me about the three most influential people in your life and how they were important to you, how you were mentored to think that you were going to become a film festival director.
Well, one of them, her name is Denise Cassell. She's the one who hired me for my first film festival job before the Woodstock Film Festival, and she also produced the documentary film that I made about my son. She really did. She did so much for me as a human being and as a professional, and I'll always be indebted to her. She no longer is working. She no longer works in film, but she has a big part in my heart, and made a big difference for me. That's Denise. My children both inspire me every day. They're amazing, and I'm proud of them, and I learn from them all the time. And if they tell me to do something, I usually try to do it. They're very wise. And the third one would be trying to think. I'm not quite sure.
Can you talk more about the film that you made about your son and any of the films that you've created or been a part of creating?
The film I made about my son was very much fiercely independent. We had basically no money at all. And it was made out of necessity for me. I had a son who was born profoundly brain injured. And after 2 years, after the first 2 years of his life, I was either going to place him up for adoption or make a film about him. And after first thinking or trying to place him up for adoption and realizing that I emotionally could not do that, I decided to make a film about him. And that's when I first met the person I mentioned before, Denise Cassell, because she came on board to produce the film for me, and she was amazing. So it took me 7 years to make the film, and again, with like literally no money, and everyone who worked on it was volunteers. And just, our technical director, who has been our technical director for the past 24 years, Jeff Cantor, was also the video engineer on my film, and he did it for free. so, which was incredibly generous of him and generous of everyone who worked on the film. But I think that everyone who worked on the film also learned a lot and was inspired by my son and what he meant to the world. My son passed away at the age of 18, but and the film, a lot of people within that population have seen the film, and have a lot of schools have acquired it, and a lot of parents have watched it and were very thankful to see. But it's not the kind of film that would go into theaters or that kind of thing.
Well, I personally would love to see it. I mean, films that are so personal tell you so much about the person's struggles and how they were able to overcome them. And, you know, art is therapy, is truly therapy. It heals. So music, I have music, movies, films, documentaries that have come out have changed people's lives. And so thank God for the medium of film. Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. You know, there's a lot more that I could ask you about filmmaking. You know, I can ask you, what's your favorite film and why? Those kinds of questions. But
oh God, I hate those questions.
Exactly. Do you have films? But I think the question is more like, do you have a film? Because I personally could never answer one film. There's thousands of films. But are there films that maybe in the last 5 years, obviously you see amazing films every day that are featured in the festival, but are there just maybe 3 or 4 films that you can just pull out from the festival that still sit with you, like today, you kind of think about it, those kinds of films that never leave your consciousness?
Yeah, I'm one of those people who, when you ask this kind of question, A, doesn't want to answer it, because there's no such thing as favorite for me. B, I always go back to what I've seen a long time ago, the older cinema. I would go, and I can just quote you names of directors who have influenced me, and there's so many of them, and will be cost.
That was my next question. What are some of your favorite directors? Not your favorite.
I always go to, I do the same thing, I think, with literature. I go back to sort of like the classics. And I would say that with film, it would be, you know, Costa Gavras and Fassbinder and Herzog and Wim Wenders. And I mean, there's, you know, whether it's German cinema or French cinema or Italian cinema, Antonioni, I really love. Of course, Bergman is always a classic. But, you know, those kind of films have always really shaped me as a person who loves film and have an understanding of film and filmmaking. So, of course, since then, there are a lot of different masters who've come along and created some incredible films. But whenever I think about what has shaped me, I go back to those, and I go back. I mean, it's really French and German and Italian that would be the core, but then you also have Japanese from Kurosawa, and those masters of cinema that have really led the way for, you know, in the 70s in the United States and America, there was incredible. I mean, the cinema in the 70s is one of the best that we of today, but those filmmakers were shaped by those masters, filmmakers of the 70s and the 80s, and to this day.
Well, the other thing that leads me into, what do you think are the most important elements of filmmaking?
In order to be a good filmmaker, you have to be a good storyteller and an artist. Today, there's so many people who are making films because filmmaking is, as a tool, has become so accessible. But if you don't have a story to tell and you don't have a vision of how to tell it, it's not going to end up being a good film. So it's all about the artist. And I mean, the filmmaker is an artist. And if you're writing a screenplay, or if you're working on a documentary, it's the passion and it's the vision and it's the craftsmanship of the storytelling. And there's a lot that you can teach, but being an artist is not something that really can be taught. So I hope that answers your question in some way.
Yeah, I mean, for screenwriters, it's all about the hero's journey and taking somebody on a journey and the struggle. So artists, do you believe that artists have to struggle in order to really be able to tell a powerful story?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think that it has to be about struggle or suffering. I think it has to be about passion. You just have to feel strongly about something. You have to care about something. It's hard to create without passion to create it with. Something has to drive it. So I think it's the driving force that comes first.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what the Woodstock Film Festival does besides the film festival itself, such as the upcoming filmmaker residency?
Sure. So the festival is, the festival is a 365 days entity. As you know, we have our own building and we have full-time staff. We're here every day, as much as you guys are willing to be here. And we host screenings throughout the year. It's part of our year-round screening series. And we're also very dedicated to education. So there are particularly two prongs to the education component of the festival, or the organization rather. One of which is the Youth Film Lab. That is something now that is ongoing throughout the academic year and into the summer, whereby during the year we go into classrooms and we teach filmmaking and we talk about, for instance, from novel to the screen kind of things. And we work with libraries and schools together throughout the year. And then in the summer, we have a filmmaking workshop intensive, which is a 3 weeks program for local teenagers, whereby they make their own films from concept to the final editing, and after which we show those films at the festival. So this is a really great program. We bring a lot of wonderful industry mentors to meet with the students. We have, of course, instructors, and we have teachers' assistants who work with the students throughout the year, and then during the summer. It's an incredible program, and it's free of charge for the participants. And then we have the filmmakers residency, which is a cross between a proper residency and a lab. So it's a 4 weeks program, and we bring the filmmakers to a location in the Hudson Valley, and they workshops their films. We choose specifically 2 narrative filmmakers and 2 documentary filmmakers. This year the theme is sustainability, reimagining the future. And we bring together with them a number of very accomplished writers, directors, producers who work with them closely throughout the residency program and workshop their projects with them. We also bring a bunch of wonderful guest mentors who give all kind of craft talks. And the program is run by an artistic director who guides the residents throughout the whole residency, and workshops and mentors them on their individual projects. And at the end, we bring them back to the festival, and they talk about their projects, and they experience the festival, and they meet a lot of the attending filmmakers and industry. So this program is in its 3rd year now. It's supported by White Feather Farm and by Gigantic Pictures, and I'm very grateful to both. And it's really, really fantastic. For me, this is like summer camp for adults. I love it. And for the residents, it's just it's a unique and very powerful experience, and I know they really love it, and they it makes a big difference for them on their projects and within their careers. A lot of good comes out of it.
That was my next question. Who are some of the filmmakers in the films that have come out of the filmmaker residency?
Well, I mean, it's too soon to say that, because we're just now in our third year. We haven't started the third year. Now it's coming up in May. I mean, I can tell you that one of the residents from the first year, they have the documentary that they worked on during the residency world premiering at Hot Docs in Toronto, which is one of the biggest documentary film festivals in the world. So very, very happy for them. And a couple of other residents who were in the first year, Brooke and Eunice, they just met in the residency, and then they worked together on a new project, and they're still working on it. So that was a really great thing that happened. And I mean, some of them, I mean, they have flown the coop, and they stay in touch with us and tell us what's going on. And I know they're all doing really wonderful things, but I can't tell you that any one of them now has received an Academy Award for a film. It's just too soon. It's too soon.
It's coming. It's
coming, but it's too soon. The first one just took place in 2021, so it's just too soon.
That does sound like that's one of your favorite parts of being, running this festival, of this organization, is the filmmakers residency.
I love it. I really, really love it. Yeah. It's also fun.
Yeah, I mean, because it's beautiful. You're in nature, you're inspired, you're just, honing your craft, and it's an incredible opportunity.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic for them. It's fantastic for me to come and, just sort of to visit, and I'm basically there every day. But it's so fantastic for them. And I have to tell you that so many of the mentors also were so inspired by their interactions with the residents. So I think it's really great for everybody.
How do you find and select the residents? I'm just curious, because I know filmmakers would want to know. They would want to be a part of this.
Yes, it's not. There's no open application. It has to be by references. So we talk to various organizations and filmmakers and past residents and mentors, and we get a lot of recommendations. We sift for the recommendations, and we narrow them down, and then we go through the short list, and then we interview those who are on the short list, and out of that we end up selecting 4. It's quite the process. But it's not open for an application, so there's no application portal that you can go to and send in your material. But you can contact us if you want. You can contact us.
And that leads me to another question. Why should filmmakers, and now we're also doing a call for music videos, why should they submit their film to the Woodstock Film Festival?
So, because the Woodstock Film Festival is so great, because there are amazing people in attendance every year. We are only 2 hours north of New York City. We have so many industry members attend the festival. When you're here, you get to meet so many incredible people. It's great for networking. It's a lot of fun. Everything is very high quality. All the films are really good. The filmmakers are amazing. And yet it's very casual. So it's the kind of environment where it's really easy to network and meet people while having fun. So it's not a market per se. So you can't really expect to premiere your film and boom, sell your film to A24 or Netflix. But you can certainly expect to meet a lot of really great people who will propel your career forward, and as well as just a lot of wonderful like-minded colleagues. And also because Woodstock itself is in such a great locations. I mean, there's so many artists and writers and filmmakers and people who will also just be really good for you to meet and spend time with. And so it's a great festival to be a part of.
What about
and it's true to its name. I mean, it is fiercely independent. So it's very authentic that way. You know that you're not going into something that's commercialized or corporate, it's really everybody's there really for the love of the art.
And that leads me to the question about just the Hudson Valley and Woodstock. Why should filmmakers and industry people come to Woodstock? What's so great about Woodstock?
Well, first of all, the county where Woodstock Film Festival is at, Ulster County, has the largest artist per capita in New York State outside of New York City. It's an extremely artistic area. It's very, very beautiful geographically. Nature here is wonderful. The food is great. Lots of great restaurants, great music halls. I mean, there's a lot of art. There's a lot of great food. There's a lot of natural beauty. And the people here, I mean, it's very progressive. I mean, we're kind of like in our bubble here. It's a very progressive area. And there's a lot of people in the arts who not just part of the Woodstock Film Festival per se, but who are just part of the Hudson Valley community. And I mean, and especially since COVID, and like half of Brooklyn moved to the Hudson Valley. It's very intellectual, I can say, I suppose, but not necessarily very academic, but certainly very intellectual and definitely very artistic. And it's beautiful. So especially when you come in the fall during the film festival, you go apple picking, and I mean, it's the peak. I mean, the leaves exchanging colors. It's gorgeous, and it's just very, very, very beautiful. So you take advantage of the nature, and you go on hikes, and you go to have some wonderful food, and you're immerse yourself in a great film festival. What's not to like?
What's not to like?